G'day viewers, welcome to another super helpful, super cool repair video from the Goat Shed. Well, today is Thursday, September 7th, 2023. It's currently 13 degrees Celsius outside, which is approximately 55.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, a rather warm day's forecast today to a top of 27 degrees Celsius, which is 80.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So for a spring day, that's pretty good. However, there is a light breeze blowing outside at the moment, just tempering that, and a little bit of cloud cover, so we'll see what today ends up bringing. So what we want to talk about today is match. Now, we have here a game that wouldn't match on the second player. It would match on the first player, but it wouldn't match on the second player. So we're actually talking about two separate circuits, player 1 and player 2. Now, this is Gottlieb's Eye of the Tiger from 1978. We mentioned this in a video we previously did on what's happening in the Goat Shed in September. And we've come along to have a look at it, and we were testing it, and yeah, we worked out it wasn't matching. Now, the owner was playing it and said, oh, it didn't match on 10. Okay, let's have a look. Alright, there's no wire off the score reel that would indicate that. Let's check other numbers, and sure enough, it wouldn't match on anything. So that bears a little bit of investigation to see what is going on. Why wouldn't it match on any numbers? Now, this game has the type of score reels, which we'll see in a moment, which tend to have an inherent problem, and that is the way they've done the common wire. Often you get a cold solder joint there. We have spoken about this before, but you know, it would be easily missed as it wasn't specifically about match. So we have the schematic here, and let's examine that and just see what we can come up with. So the way this works is through the FS relay disc and then off to the score reels. So if we have a look here, this is the FS relay disc, and this is the side for the physically going to the second player 10's unit disc, and the other side of this disc, which is on this side of the circuit to the left, is to do with the lights. So the first thing we decided we'd do, we have a wire here which is orange-white going all through the second player 10's unit and as the common wire, and then we have all the joins going across to the FS. Let's have a look and see if we've got a circuit between there, one side to the other, and we'll do that in a moment. This is a little bit convoluted in the way they've done this. It's probably easier to start up a little bit higher to the extra ball or credit adjustment to sort of get an idea of what happens here. So I'll just get that into shot. I always have difficulty doing this. There it is. So here's the extra ball credit unit. So credit game adjustment plug. And if you follow this down, it comes down through here, comes out and goes down and comes back into the match in and out feature adjustment plug. Now we'll get that into shot. Righto, there it is there on the left, the match in and out feature adjustment plug here. So what has to happen when that's in circuit or plugged in, it will then complete a circuit through this area here. Now what we need to do is test that further in the circuit and make sure it's working, and that's pretty easy to do. But we're also going to show you probably the very first thing you've got to look at, or what we tend to look at if it's not matching. Now let's go and do that. So here's the second player 10's score reel out, and we've got that set on 0, and we also have the wire clipped onto the blue wire, which also represents 0. So that means that the wiper fingers on this score reel should now give us a circuit between that blue wire and the common link here, which is a white orange wire. So let's do that. So there's our meter. Let's put it onto the common link here, and there we are. We've got a circuit and we've got a resistance of around 1 ohm on that. Now you can hear that going off, I take it. If I was to move that score reel off 0, which I will, it's on 1 now. We haven't got a circuit, we've got an open loop. So we now know that between the score reel and the FS unit we have a circuit. Good. Now the first thing that you would generally look at here is this. So the common wire is coming in here on C, and that's that orange and white wire, and then there's a link, there's a soldered link on the back of the board through this wire here. Now quite often you get cold solder joints on the other side of this, and even this wire breaking away. Now if you need to check that. I can't quite do that because I haven't got 3 hands, but we've already proven that it's working by the little test we've just done. But normally what I do is I get my meter, put it on there and a lead on there, and make sure we've got continuity. Hope that makes sense. Now we didn't have, so we still weren't matching. So what can the problem possibly be? Well, we probably need to go back and have another look at the schematic in this instance and see. Now if we have a look here, you can see it says first player 10's unit and second player 10's unit. So the first player is working, and if you have a look, there's a couple of things involved here. Let's start over this side. We have the BX relay, which is the last ball relay. A switch must be closed on the BX relay for that to happen. We have a switch in the O relay, which is of course the ball return relay, and we have a motor switch on motor 4B which needs to close to give us a match on 1. Let's have a look here. We have the BX relay, the O relay, the CX relay. Now the CX relay is your second player relay, and a motor switch 2C with an orange and white wire. Now remember, this orange and white wire was the common wire going through the second player unit. So we know we have a circuit from here to here. So what we need to look at is 2 switches on the CX and motor 2C. As we already know, 1's working, so therefore the BX and 0 or O relay are working. Okay, so what we actually did, we went and had a look at that switch on motor 2C, and sure enough, it was barely touching. So motor 2C was the fault. Now, you don't see that very often, but needless to say, that's what the problem was. So that orange and white wire wasn't making a good contact through there. Now, it was pretty easy and obvious to see when we looked, and I'll show you that now, but it's been fixed. But that's a good little bit of fault finding on a 2-player match, and if it was a 4-player match, there'd be 4 motor switches involved, one for player 1, player 2, player 3 and player 4. So besides the obvious wires not on, you do need to sometimes look elsewhere. So I'll just show you that now so you can understand, and you'll see the same colour wires there. So there it is, there's the orange and white wire. So it's this switch here. So the second one from the edge, that one there. And it wasn't closing. Now you can see it's got pressure and it's moving. See that switch is moving? It wasn't doing that before, it was just more or less kissing it. That has a brown and white wire on the other side for those of you that were looking diligently at the schematic to work that out. So that's on stat 2C. Now just a reminder, that one actually is numbered. You can see the number 2 down in there. There it is there. But if they're not numbered and you're not sure where to look or how to figure it out, remember you've got stack 3.5 is the one with no wires on. That's the motor brake. So the next one is 4, so you can go back 3.5, 3. Interestingly enough, this machine has no switches on motor stack 3. That's pretty rare. Motor stack 2 and motor stack 1. And remember, A is the bottom. Now, interestingly enough, stack 2C, that one there that we're looking at, a few things can happen there. That's the one where the switch dog, that's this dog here, is in the long position. So you can see the edge of the dog in the long position, where this one here, it's in the short throw. Oops, get it in shot. There. So 2C, in general rule, sometimes people pull them out and put them in wrong, and if that's the case, you do that, I'll tell you what will happen. You'll get that subtracting 2 credits instead of 1. Switch 2C is timed off the second tooth of motor 1A. That's those teeth we're looking at there. Second tooth of 1A. So therefore, that's the second tooth. Or maybe it's not, but the second tooth of 1A. You'd have to look at the gap. I can't quite get down in there, but I think you get the picture. So this is a nice clean motorboard on this game. Pretty good, isn't it? And great, this machine too also has the motor jack. Remember, you can take that out. Just take it out of the game, out of circuit. And of course the motor, score motor won't run. You've got to manually turn it to make it work, and that's really good for troubleshooting. Really good. So there, I hope that's a helpful little tip for people. We hope you got something out of that. Spanky certainly does. And don't forget to leave any comments that you may have regarding the videos we make. We're just approaching almost, I think we're about 1 or 2 members off 2,000 now, so hopefully in the next 24 hours we'll have 2,000 members subscribed to our YouTube channel, which is great. And we're all here to help each other in this hobby, and it's really rewarding to see that. Last Friday evening your time, Saturday morning our time, we did a coaching clinic, might have been the week before, with Mark Gibson's Fun with Pinball, and the guy had a Joker Poker EM game that he was having a lot of trouble with, the tilt mechanism. And there's apparently a mistake on the schematic on that game, reversing the wires going to the tilt and the tilt reset relay, the TX and TR relay, with as I said, the wires being opposite each other. And a chap had a problem with the game, and he'd been asking people for photos and so on, and sort of discovered a few things through Pinside. And anyhow, he still couldn't resolve it, and just earlier this morning, Mark sent a feedback through on Pinside on a post on that, and it was just lucky, I guess, during the course of the discussion that we were talking about it, and I was getting a bit confused, to be honest with you, but once I sort of got my head around it, and one of the other coaches started talking about the ball roll tilt as we panned past it, the guy panned past it on the camera, and what that turned out to be was that was the fault. That's got 3 wires on it, and I just said to the guy, look, you really need to check those wires, because we've had a problem like you've just described before. It just came to mind. And yeah, once we confirmed on the schematic the wires on the ball roll tilt, we found that he had a couple on about, and he fixed it. The guy was absolutely elated. I think he had a couple of other problems, but I understand that he'd been working on that for about 4 months. So yeah, at least sometimes, you know, people get help, and it gives you a warm fuzzy feeling to do that for them. So I guess we'll end the video now, and we'll just remember or remind you to give us the big thumbs up for our video, thanking us for doing it, and hopefully anyone that's not subscribed will subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to get notifications of when our next video is coming up. So this has been another Goat Shed presentation.